Hello viewers, I am going to introduce you to the fascinating world of electrochemistry. The electrochemistry has a very rich history, like it has been developed more than 200 years back, when by chance Galvani put two metal pieces in a frog leg and generated electricity, and after that Dr. Volta tried to develop a electrochemical cell by putting a piles of two metals and separated by a cloth dipped in brine. So, these are the very old historical event which has took the modern electrochemistry, but electrochemistry has still a lots of relevance in today's world, and we are going to look at those aspects of electrochemistry, and I am going to talk about the basics of electrochemistry in the coming lectures, as well as I am going to talk about the various theories which connect with them. And in today's lecture I can talk about the introduction to electrochemistry, the difference between metallic and electrolytic conductance, the various terms which is being used to define this branch of chemistry, and how we can actually measure the conductance, and very important, how we can control it, the factor which can give a change in electrolytic conductance. Electrochemistry can be defined as it is a study of electrochemical processes and their application. Basically, we are talking about a chemical energy conversion to electrical energy and vice versa, and this governs lots of process which we see around. Like we can have a electrochemical cell which is a device which can generate electricity, and it is generating electricity from chemical energy, and we can have numerous application of a electrochemical cell. So, if you look at what are the ways to generate electricity, so the first thing which come to mind is galvanic cell or voltaic cell, to give a tribute to the scientist who has brought up this concept of modern electrochemistry. Basically, electrochemistry touches various branches of science, and it has a scope in almost everything which we see around. Like first of all, it has application in metallurgy, because we want to purify a metal which is difficult to obtain from a normal procedure. Like if you want to obtain a sodium, you have to go for electrochemical processes. Biological science, our body contain nerves, there is electrical signal which pass from one part to another. We have to analyze or scan the species present. So, there are various techniques which is available, which is based on electrochemical methods to identify and quantify the substance. We have to use fuel cell when we are talking about space research, and today's in the energy crisis we have to look for a alternate source of energy which can act as a alternate path for the energy crisis. Like we have to go for a fuel cells, we have to go for a solar cells, like that. So, electrochemistry formally can be given as a interdisciplinary branch, and it can have a relevance in all the electrical devices which we see around. If we look around, materials can be divided into two things, like a material which can conduct electricity or material which cannot conduct electricity. So, conductor further can be divided into metallic or electrolytic conductors, and electrolytic conductor can further divided into strong electrolyte, weak electrolyte or non-electrolyte, depending upon their capacity to conduct electricity. So, if I look in this slide, what we are able to see that the metals are located, metal ions are there on the center of the lattice, and there is electron which is moving around. So, we are talking about a metal which is surrounded by a sea of electrons. So, that makes it a totally a very good conductor, because electrons are able to move from one position to another, and when we try to compare it with electrolytic conductors, we have to understand that there are fundamental difference, that the metallic conductor is totally dependent on the flow of electrons, the electrolytic conductor depend upon the flow of ions, and there is no chemical change in metallic conductor, and electrolytic conductor there is a chemical change. Ion has to go and it can get converted into a gas, or it may reduce or oxidize. And basically there is no transfer of matter in metallic conductor, but when you talk about electrolytic conductor, there is a transfer of matter. The one of the important difference that you can see is that conductance decreases with the increase in temperature, conductance increases with increase in temperature in both the different type of conductors. First, if we try to understand the metallic conductor, what happens that the ions are located in their lattice positions and electrons are moving in the free way, they are able to go from one part of the metal to another part. The moment we increase their temperature, these ions are able to move in their lattice position and they hinder the path of the free moving electrons. And when we try to look at electrolytic conductor, their conductance is totally dependent upon the ions. So, the moment we provide a higher temperature, higher energy, the conductance increases, they are able to go from one place to another at a higher rate. The applied potential difference across a metal makes the electron moves, but in electrolytic conductors there is a charge which governs the ions to move towards the different electrodes, like an ion move toward anode and cations move toward cathode. And if you try to compare their capacity to conduct electricity, the metallic conductors are far ahead of electrolytic conductors, and we can understand the main difference between the two. The electrolytic conductors, where the movement of ion is the main cause, and they are able to go from one part to another, and surprisingly they are governed by Ohm's law. So, we can use all the formula which is applicable for metals to the electrolytic conductors, like the current is proportional to potential difference and I equal to E R, where E is the potential difference, R is the resistance. This equation can be used for electrolytic conductor as well, and this relationship where R can be related with the length of the metal or the area of the metal can be written in this form, R equal to rho L by A, where R is the resistance, rho is the resistivity, L is the length of the metallic wire and A is the area of that wire, or area of cross section, we can say that. If we try to put this equation for electrolytic conductors, we have to understand that the conductance and resistance are reciprocal to one another. If resistance is high, conductance is low. If conductance is high, resistance has to be low. They are vice versa. So, if we try to do the reciprocal of all the terms, we are going to get an equation, and the reciprocal of specific resistance, that is rho, is termed as specific conductance or specific conductivity. And we can easily understand that if you are talking about an electrolyte which is of 1 centimeter square area and 1 centimeter length, we are talking about the solution which is enclosed in this cube. How much electricity this cube electrolyte is able to conduct is the specific conductance. The symbol used for specific conductance is kappa, and you can see in the equation that 1 upon rho equal to 1 upon R into L by A. The 1 upon rho is specific conductance, 1 upon R is known as conductance, and the last term, which is an important factor here, L by A, is known as cell constant, and this is a property of the conductivity cell. And the unit can be easily be calculated is that if we have R, it is ohm inverse, and L by A, that is centimeter inverse, this is a unit we are going to derive, but SI unit is Siemens centimeter inverse. If we look at specific conductance formula that can be used is measured conductance into cell constant. The cell constant term is this L by A, and the measured conductance term is 1 upon R. So, basically we are modified the equation which is valid for metallic conductor to the electrolytic conductor, and the formula is already written there, the distance between the electrodes and the area of the electrode. As we are dealing with a solution, we have to talk about the concentration. So, only equivalent conductance terms has to be introduced, equivalent conductance, molar conductance term has to be introduced along with specific conductance. So, how we can define this term equivalent conductance? If you look at, this is the conductivity of a solution which contain 1 gram equivalent of an electrolyte. If you try to correlate this specific conductance with equivalent conductance, as we have already talked about, specific conductance is the conductance given by 1 centimeter cube of electrolyte, and we are talking about equivalent conductance which contain 1 gram equivalent. So, we can imagine that if we are able to multiply the volume with specific conductance, we are able to get the equivalent conductance, but the condition is that we need to have the concentration in normality or gram equivalent. So, basically we have to have kappa, which is specific conductance, C is the concentration in gram equivalent, and we can easily convert the specific conductance into equivalent conductance, and we can easily find out the what is the SI unit, that is Siemens centimeter square equivalent inverse. Equivalent conductance, if you try to put in a simple way, it can be written as 1000 into kappa by C, 1000 because we are talking about 1 ml of solution or 1 cc of solution. So, when we talk about the concentration, it has to multiply with 1000, and the C represents the normality. So, it is possible to find out equivalent conductance from specific conductance by using this formula 1000 into kappa by C. Similarly, we have to deal with molar conductance because concentration can also be in molarity, and the formula which is being used is very similar to equivalent conductance. The kappa by C, we have to remember that C has to be in molarity. The moment we put the C in molarity, we get the 1000 into kappa by C, but now the C is in molarity. So, these are the way to define or express the conductance of electrolytic solution. How to measure this? That is a major concern. For this, we need to have a conductive cell which is basically a plate of platinum separated by a distance and having a particular surface area. This conductivity cell, it has to increase the activity, so it has covered with a platinum black, and just a simple system which can give you the conductance of the electrolyte. And we need a special Wheatstone bridge. The Wheatstone bridge is a device which can be used to find the resistance. As we are aware of, the conductance is reciprocal of resistance. So, if we are able to measure the resistance, we can do a reciprocal and get the conductance. The moment we have a conductance, we can get the specific conductance by using the formula. The cell constant is equal to specific conductance by major conductance. The Wheatstone bridge which I have shown earlier, the fourth resistance is the conductivity electrolyte solution, and the moment we have that, we have to multiply this major conductance with the cell constant, and when we have cell constant, we can get the specific conductance. And the formula for equivalent conductance is 1000 into kappa by C, where kappa is specific conductance. So, we are well placed to calculate the equivalent conductance of any electrolytic solution. As I mentioned here, the specific conductance can be measured if you know the cell constant, and this is the equation for measurement of equivalent conductance. Just to show you the importance or the how to calculate the equivalent conductance, I have given one numerical where the resistance is given which the commonly instrument give, and then it has to be converted to equivalent conductance. The cell constant is already provided with us. If cell constant is not given, we have to find out by a method of using a KCl. So, how to calculate it? We can say that cell constant is already with us, but we have to take care of the units. So, we have 0.88 centimeter inverse, that is a unit of cell constant, and then we have to convert this major conductance into major conductance from the resistance. The moment we have that, we have to put in the formula 1000 into kappa by C, where kappa is calculated from the upper equation, and then we have to substitute in the lower equation to get the final equivalent conductance, and this can be done in the lab quite easily. If we want to understand what governs and how the conductance vary, why the conductance vary, we have to understand these two fundamental things. One is ionic concentration, because the electrolyte conductance is totally governed by the ions which is present inside the solution. If we are able to increase the number of ions present inside the solution, naturally the conductance is going to be the higher, and from the point of view which type of electrolyte we are looking at, the ionic concentration can be totally different. Now, the second factor, which is speed of ion. If we have different size of ions like H plus and sodium ion, we know that sodium ion is larger than size than H plus ion. So, their speed or mobility is going to be totally different, and the ions will conduct electricity when they are able to move from one place to the electrode, and the moment they are having a higher speed, they are able to conduct more, and that is the fundamental two factors which governs the conductance of any electrolytic solution. So, ionic concentration and speed of the ion, these two factors are most important to remember. If we try to look at what is happening if I am doing a dilution. So, dilution has a drastic effect on each type of conductance, like specific conductance, there with a dilution there is a decrease. It can be understood quite easily that we are talking about 1 centimeter cube of electrolytic solution. The moment we add water to it, we are making it more dilute. The number of ions which is going to be present in 1 centimeter cube of the electrolyte solution keep on decreasing. The number of ions in that is decreased. If it is decreased, there is a drastic effect on specific conductance. So, the first statement, specific conductance decreases on dilution, goes with the less number of ions which is present in the electrolyte solution. If we look at molar and equivalent conductance, both increases with dilution, and the graph clearly shows that like any common electrolyte, nickel sulphate or barium chloride, if we add water to that, the conductance keep on increasing as we are going near almost toward the zero dilution or infinite dilution. We have to see that they are going towards a limiting value, which means that up to certain level their conductance is increasing, but not to drastic level, but after certain level they are going exponentially. And if we look at one weak electrolyte like acetic acid, their conductance remain constant for quite some time. After increase to a very maximum level, there is no limiting value. You can easily see the graph, there is no limiting value to that, and this clearly suggests that they are totally governed by two different factors. The strong electrolyte which are made of ionic bond and acetic acid is made of covalent bond, their behavior in water is totally different, and this is quite evident in this graph. This can be attributed to the nature of bonding. Like if you take a NaCl, there is a ionic bond which exists between the Na plus and Cl minus even in the solid state. Crystallography proves that. The moment we have the solution of NaCl, water acts as a medium which can separate out these two ions. They are not able to see each other, they are not able to attract each other. The moment they are in the solution, they feel they are far apart and they are able to go to the different electrode in a different manner. At the moment we are adding water, this effect is predominant and this keep on increasing. This can be attributed to the separation of ion. In word we can call it dissociation of ion, because the strong electrolyte is already ionized. The moment we look at weak electrolyte like acetic acid, which is made up of covalent bond, there the solvent has to play a very important role. It has to take out or break the bond which exists between the O and H, so that the H plus become free to move, and acetate ion and H plus are free to move. That is the reason when we are looking at this curve, after certain point there is a sudden increase, because the dissociation increase with dilution. And the third factor which can be looked at is the conductance of electrolyte and its effect with temperature. Logically, if we have a temperature or higher energy, these ions are more labile, they are more free to move. They can go from one electrode to another and they conduct electricity to a greater extent. So, even they are moving on their own places, they are able to show the higher conductivity with increase in temperature. This is totally due to a thermal effect. And we can see that there are various factors which can govern the conductivity, and each of them are very relevant with respect to types of electrolyte and what we are doing with them. I would like to take up one numerical which can show the possible application of all these types of electrolytes and how they are basically performed in a lab. If you look at, there is one term which we commonly use is cell constant, and the cell constant can be easily determined if we have a KCl solution. So, this numerical try to do that. If we have a conductance cell with a 0.02 molar solution of KCl and the resistance which can be determined was 165 ohms, the specific conductance can be determined if we know the cell constant, and the same cell can be used for NaCl with having electrical resistance of 384 ohms, and we are going to see how to calculate the NaCl first. So, this numerical try to give you an idea how to find the cell constant and then further using that cell constant to find the other parameters of any other electrolyte like NaCl in the present case. The numerical try to explain you how to calculate the cell constant, and for calculation of cell constant we need to have KCl in the purest form. If you look at the cell constant formula is specific conductance by observed conductance, and the conductance of KCl can be measured using conductivity meter and conductivity cell, but KCl is important if you are interested to find the cell constant, and this numerical try to help you in doing that. If you look at, this is 1 upon 165, 165 represents the resistance, the reciprocal of resistance is conductance, and as these values are well reported in literature from different temperature. So, we can easily get those information, and when you plug in this information here, you are in position to find the cell constant. The moment you have cell constant here like 45705 centimeter inverse, we are in position to find any other parameter of any electrolyte. Present case it is NaCl. So, cell constant we got it from here, we put these values here and we have carried out the experiment to find the conductance of NaCl, and reciprocal of that can give you the conductance. The moment you have a conductance and specific conductance, you can get the equivalent conductance, like this is the cell constant into the conductance give you the specific conductance, and when you put those values here you can in position to get the equivalent conductance. So, this numerical try to tell you how the problems or numerical can be handled in the equivalent conductance measurement or specific conductance measurement and how to correlate between them. And this brings to the end of the episode 1. I have already talked about what are the basics of electrochemistry, why we have to study it and how it helps or motivate us. The second point I covered is the metallic and electrolytic conductance, the difference between the two and how to differentiate actually between these two parameters. Now, the terms which I have discussed is specific conductance, molar conductance and the finally how to carry out the equivalent conductance and the factor affecting the electrolytic conductance. These are the topic I discussed today, and I am going to cover in the next episode the probable theories to explain the behavior of conductance and how to explain the difference in behavior of different electrolyte from the theoretical point of view.